Doncs, per no allargar més l'espera, si em permeteu, faré una brevíssima presentació de la nostra ponent, la KASIA LELONEK. La faré en polonès perquè ja sabeu que la nostra llengua també és coneguda amb aquesta denominació. Ella ve de Polònia, per tant m'entendrà perfectament que la presenti en polonès. La KASIA LELONEK és docent, ha estat docent d'anglès, ha estat també formadora en temes de formació empresarial i ara darrerament treballa en una multinacional, de les grans multinacionals del món de la tecnologia i internet. L'empresa es diu Akamai, segurament no l'haureu sentit a parlar, però és una companyia que es dedica a produir, a tenir els més amples cabals de banda per transmetre grans quantitats de contingut, streamings, televisió d'alta definició a través d'internet. O sigui, té una de les millors xarxes amb més cabal d'internet del món. En aquesta empresa, la KASIA fa tasques de formació interna dintre de la companyia. Per tant, ella també té una component de dissenyadora instruccional de la formació. I avui ens parlarà de com van generar durant la pandèmia la formació corporativa dins d'aquesta organització. Bé, deixo ja el polonès i passo a la KASIA, que ens parlarà en anglès d'aquesta experiència. Thank you very much, KASIA.
So before I start, a few words about myself. So I don't know what Jordi just said. I assume it was only good things. So let's start. I work for an IT company, Akamai Technologies, and we produce internet-based solutions that we offer to our customers that are then implementing those solutions. They are configuring them, maintaining them, and to some extent, they're also troubleshooting them. And this is all important in the light of what I'm going to talk to you about today. So in Akamai, I specifically work for a team called Akamai University. And this is a team that is responsible for providing educational services to our customers. So our customers who buy Akamai products are offered courses that they enroll into, and these courses provide information about how to implement our products, how to configure them, how to maintain them, and we offer 3 different solutions as educational services. First of all, we offer instructor-led courses, so these are classroom courses. Then virtual instructor-led courses, so these are basically the same courses but operated virtually over the internet. And custom offerings, which means that we tailor particular courses to our particular customers' needs. Why is it important? Because we are educational team, as most of us here having to do something with education, we found ourselves at a very difficult situation when COVID struck. So what I'm going to talk to you today is what happened to us, what did we do with that, how did we do, so the results of our actions, and what lies ahead, what will happen to us in the future. So as we all know, COVID was a complete surprise for everybody. It was something nobody had anticipated, and it basically changed everything. It impacted every single person on the planet, every institution, every business, including Akamai and including our team. Before COVID struck, we were in the process of redesigning and adjusting our offering to more virtual audience. What do I mean by that? We were aware that the courses that we were offering as classroom courses were, first of all, much more difficult to organize than online courses. They were not that accessible to everybody. They were also much more expensive for the company, which is always important for the business. And we had this notion in mind that we need to change our offering to have more virtual sessions for our customers. And then COVID happened, which kind of forced us to speed up the whole process and our strategy of going virtual. We had a plan, but maybe you know this guy over here. Like Mike Tyson says, everybody has a plan till they get punched in the mouth. And that's exactly what happened to us. And we had to change our strategy. We had to operate in a completely new reality. So what was our mission? Our mission in the situation was to retain the number of attendees and to maintain the level of customer satisfaction, which is the primary metric for organization that deals with education, just to be sure that what we are doing actually matters to our customers, and most of all, that it works. So we had a number of challenges, and I mentioned, there were many more, but I mentioned 5 key ones here. So inconsistent courseware. Previously, before our team was fully formed in 2019, there were different teams in Akamai creating, collaborating on different materials, instructional materials. These teams were not formed with teaching in mind. These were people that were working for Akamai. These were solution architects, subject matter experts, so they were technically advanced, technologically advanced, but they were not instructional designers by trade. So the courseware that we had was completely inconsistent. Different templates, different colors, different or no branding. Everything was all over the place. So for us, it was very important to make the courseware consistent, to create a universal template that would make our team recognizable and that would actually mean something for our customers. Because I believe that customers really pay attention, and in your case, students really pay attention to how the materials are organized, how they are created. Not only what is in there, but how it is delivered to them. Then the second problem was suboptimal virtual delivery platform, which I'm going to discuss in a bit. Then deficient VILT experience, missing global content and delivery approach, and incomplete transfer to 100% VILT delivery modality. So these were the 5 risks, the 5 challenges that we recognized, and we decided to tackle that to become successful. So as I mentioned, we created a new course structure, not only template, because some of the courses were missing structures, so we had disparate slides, disparate modules or no modules at all, no agenda, sometimes an opening, sometimes no ending. You can imagine how challenging all that was for us. So you can compare. On the left, you have the older design of a course, lots of colors, lots of shapes, hard to actually pay attention to the actual content and the information that is there. And on the right, you have the new layout with the new Akamai University logo as well. Again, agenda. We got several complaints about the agenda on the left, as it reminded a lot of people about this super popular game that you could play on Nokia, the Snake. I don't know if you remember this game, but however funny that is as a game, it's not really a good idea to put your agenda like that. It's hard to follow, it's not really transparent. So we created our branded agenda instead. So another challenge, the second challenge that we had that I mentioned before, the VILT platform. We had to improve the VILT delivery. That was the first thing that we decided to do. And we decided to take a two-pronged approach. First of all, we decided to create additional global traffic entry points. Before the pandemic, we had a single point of entry, and this created latency in the countries and the geos that were far away from the point. So we introduced two more entry points, and that decreased the latency and ensured smooth delivery of our courses up to some point. Because as you can imagine, the sole fact that everybody went online, everybody went virtual, created a significant and put a significant stress on platforms themselves. So what did we do with that? We had to ensure continuity of operations. And we did that by providing a backup platform, a platform with pre-configured URLs, with passwords and links that were distributed to instructors before the session started, so that in case a primary platform fails, they could always resort to the backup platform to ensure the continuity of operations. Also what we did, which happened actually this year and not that long ago, we actually ultimately gave up on the primary platform because the delivery that it provided, the service that it provided to our customers was not up to our standards. So we decided to give up on the contract that we had for many years with one of the vendors, and we actually went with a more straightforward platform, maybe not that fancy, but it actually worked. It made the delivery, it made the educational service possible. Another challenge, the VILT learning experience as such. When you go virtual, it's not enough to have a delivery platform. It's not enough to have a second delivery platform. What you need to think about is, are your materials ready for the online delivery? Because it's not simply about converting what you have for virtual classes and that's it. You need to be mindful of your audience. You need to be mindful of the distance that is suddenly created between you and your audience, whether they are even able to access your materials. And most of all, if you are that far away from your audience as an instructor, how do you ensure that you're going to captivate their attention? So we needed to ensure that the materials that we had were engaging. So we expanded the hands-on elements. We expanded them by creating a lot of use cases, putting people in breakout rooms to discuss those use cases and then reconvene with a follow-up discussions. we innovated the program by introducing two very important points, which is an in-house built application called LVS, Lab Validating System, and a training facilitator. And an LVS, as I said, is an in-house app built by one of our team members. And this app basically makes possible for our participants to go through the hands-on labs, so exercises that follow theoretical parts, and automatically verify whether the labs they did are correct or not. If they are not, then the participant is taken to a separate breakout room by one of the instructors, because each of our sessions are run by two instructors, one senior one and the second a more junior one. And it's usually one of those two instructors that take the participant into a breakout room and go through the labs that were problematic for this person. So that ensures that this person is up to speed, does not feel abandoned just because they did something wrong and were not successful. So in the end, all the participants are happy about the results. Now, a training facilitator, again, was another, I don't want to say innovation, and not an addition, because that was an actual person, that we thought about putting on our sessions, because this person also removed significant strain on the instructors and ensured that all the technicalities were solved on the spot and the sessions run smoothly. Then a global approach, the fourth challenge that we had. For a very, very long time, we had basically two time zones in which we operated. One was British, and the second was Central Time in Americas, because these were two most popular audiences that we were targeting with our courses. For a long time, we did not see that much of an interest in APJ region for virtual classes. But again, pandemic changed everything. When they were faced with a simple choice of having no access to education or having access to virtual one, they chose the latter. So we, to meet their needs and to also facilitate the training process as best as we could, we added a third time zone, the Australian time zone, which covered most of the APJ region. And as you can see, the attendance in 2021 tripled in this region, from 10 participants in 2019 to 30 in 2021. In 2022, you can see fewer attendees, but that has to do with actually increased number of sessions. So these sessions were not that populated, but they were also more frequently organized to make the virtual classroom experience more pleasant, more comfortable for the attendees. What we also did, we localized the content. So up to some point, we only delivered our trainings in English, which, as you can imagine, is a problem, right? And we discovered that as much as we can do it in Europe and, of course, in Americas, in APJ, this is a real problem, not having localized materials. So we tested localizing the materials in Japanese, and then in 2021, we translated our content to Mandarin Chinese. thus opening to a very broad Greater China market. We also organized dry run sessions for instructors in these regions. As I said, they were not that accustomed to virtual sessions, so also instructors were not that comfortable delivering online. So we were organizing dry run sessions, operating the platform, showing them how everything works, how they can access the materials, how they can create breakout rooms, how they can use many tools at their disposal. Then transfer to 100% virtual delivery. We were organizing trainer sessions, facilitating the delivery in various regions. We were telling basically the trainers how to train the audience, how to train the attendees. We were also preparing for them how to teach tutorials. And one of them you can see here. That's a screenshot from how to teach virtually tutorial. So as you can see here, we were discussing what are the advantages of using VILT, how to set up the environment, how to work with materials, how to work with the audience as well. So we were teaching them how to interact with people online, what to pay attention to, how to engage the audience, how to make them feel catered for, which is very challenging when you don't really have this human interaction live. So, and I think I missed one thing. Yes, the shadow instructor process. So one of the things that we also did was enable the soon-to-be instructors to shadow seasoned instructors. So they were joining the sessions as silent participants and observing how the instructors use the materials, how they interact with the audience, how they organize this whole delivery. As you can see here, I put some data also about the split between classroom and virtual classes. In 2020, we had almost 100% delivery virtual, with some minor exceptions in EMEA before actually COVID started, so it was January and February 2020. Then in 2021, it was 100% across the board, and in 2022, we are actually seeing that the classroom courses, live courses, are slowly starting to bounce back. That is a very slow process. Not all the countries are ready to start on live classes, but we actually had some sessions in Paris. They were pretty successful. And we are now thinking of actually reactivating our sessions in Madrid and Barcelona. So we're very happy about it because, you know, nothing beats live interaction. So how did we do? First, the metric that we could rely on was the number of tickets that we got from our customers, and actually not we as Akamai University, but our technical support group in Akamai. So we found out that there was that 66% of customers whose representatives participated in our classes reduced case submission. So that was really a significant decrease. We also made sure to create something that was called new training evaluation model. And that was a very thorough model of serving our customers, evaluating the suitability, I would say, and successfulness of our materials, of our program in itself. So we created two surveys. First of all, we created student reaction survey, and we had a similar survey before, but the survey in the past was focused more on customer satisfaction as such. And we wanted to know whether the training that we created was relevant, whether it was relevant to our customer, whether it was useful in their job. So we, as you can see here, the majority of people found that our courses were definitely useful for them at work. Also, we changed the metrics from CSAT to NPS, Net Promoter Score. So, as you probably know, the basis of NPS as a metric is to determine whether the participants of our course would promote this course to their colleagues. So we found out that first, when we introduced the NPS as a metric in 2020, we landed at 42. And you can see a steady increase here up to 67, which is really not bad, in Q3 of this year. Then another thing that was very important to us, monitoring customer satisfaction about the platform that we were using. So as you can see here, in 2020, platform number 1, which is the one we eventually gave up, was rated at 391, which is not a lot, I would say. In 2021, platform number 2 was rated at 428, which is a significant increase here. And in 2022, when we eventually gave up platform number 1, we could also see a steady increase on the rating of platform number 2 that we decided to, of course, develop and enhance with different functionalities. Also, platform-related complaints got significantly more rare, which was a big relief for us, because you can imagine that even if you ask your participants whether they like the course and they do appreciate the materials, but the delivery is just unbearable, the rating will affect everything. So even if you created wonderful materials, lots of insight, and groundbreaking work, if you deliver it in such a way that is troublesome for the customer, it just won't work. Another survey that we created was called Training Impact Evaluation Survey, and we called it Impact Survey because we wanted to determine whether a training actually made a difference for our customers. So instead of just asking them whether they liked the training that they were given, we were asking them if the job transfer that we wanted to see happening really happened. So we found out that 76% of students considered knowledge gained during this training as applied on the job, which is pretty high. And 60% of students referred to the course materials on the job after returning to their workplace. So again, it seems that the training became relevant to them, applicable, and the job transfer took place. Another thing that we could measure was virtualization of content and how it boosted learning experience. And we found out that the students' engagement rose by 27%. Just because we created those polls, we created the discussions, we created use cases, and we could measure how much, to what extent and what number of people during the sessions were really engaged in the presentation. So what did we learn on this in this whole process? What can go wrong will go wrong. That is a universal law, and we just need to learn with it. you don't need a plan B, you need a plan C. That's my boss's favorite motto. But it's a really good strategy because then it really decreases the risk of you being unpleasantly surprised. Learning program is about effectiveness, impact, and continued improvement. What we want is job transfer. Completion is not a measurement. I think this is very important because a lot of us educators put a significant stress on how we did or how our participants, our students did at tests. Well, tests are just tests, and you can be incredibly lucky on a test. And I'm a perfect example of that. I've always excelled at German tests. I cannot speak German up to this point, but I was just very lucky when I was being tested. So what we need to ensure is that what we teach actually makes a difference, actually makes our participants better at their jobs. Training must be relevant and relatable. If the students do not find that they can really relate to what they are being taught, there is really no point. It just won't happen. It's not about technology, it's about data. I know that some of you here, and I think Stephen Downs wouldn't agree with me, being all about technology. But it's not actually what I mean. What I mean is you can have the most fancy technology at your disposal, but if you don't measure whether what you do actually makes sense and makes a difference, it just won't work anyway, because you won't be able to see if your students really are better after the training than they were before. So what lies ahead? What is in the future for us as educators? First of all, hybrid training, which means being flexible, being adaptable to what our students need, how they prefer to learn. Learning in the flow of work. So that is especially important when we think about the learning process as a continuum, as something that does not finish once the training is done. You learn all the time. And what is really important is being able to access this part of training material that you need at a given moment, so that you can be helped, you can be assisted by the training materials when you need them. Learning in VUCA, that's another buzzword, and another military term that is being used in education. So learning in a volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous environment. We all like things to be black or white, being really easily differentiated, but we also need to learn to live in the gray, in all shades of gray. And we need to be able to adapt, to find our ways, even if everything gets really, really messy. We need to jump the curve, because no growth is sustainable. So we need to be very cautious. We need to be, again, adaptable. We need to be able to see what's coming before it comes. And the last thing, learn and relearn, because what took us here won't take us forward. Thank you.
Many thanks, Kasia, for being so adjusted to the time you had at the end of this session. For me, it was great to see that it wasn't only the educational system that had problems, that also big corporations, you had problems to adapt to the COVID uncertainties. So thanks to put us in the most relativistic situation. We are very out of time, but I think that if there are some questions that arise from the audience, so we can take one from the participants. So if there is one quick reaction, so then I will move back to Polish. ¿Hi ha alguna pregunta? Yes, you will have one. Una altra? Dues. Parem.
So, Kasia, thank you. One of the things that impressed me when I saw you do this same presentation or similar presentation earlier this year was the speed with which you were able to make this adjustment. Because in the university, we're a lot slower. And in a lot of cases, our quick emergency adjustment was to turn amphitheater lecture classes into online virtual amphitheater lecture classes. So I'm very interested in how you managed to do this as quickly as you did and how much of it depended on, say, institutional backing, institutional, say, bureaucratic operation, and how much of it was really a question of attitude inside your team and approach and willingness to basically think out of the box.
Thank you for this question, Ray. So actually it was all that you mentioned, actually all that contributed to the success, let's say. Definitely the attitude of people on the team, the awareness, I would say, that we need to act fast. Also, I won't, I won't fool you here. If you work for a corporate environment, it's not only big ideas that you have in your head, but also the fact that you are losing money if you do not adapt. So we were also pressed for time because we knew that if we don't cater for the needs of our customers, we will simply lose them. So that was important. But also, you mentioned institutional support. It mattered a great deal that our boss sees us as experts, and he kind of deferred to us for advice, for solution. So we presented him with what is happening, what we think will happen, and what we need to do to stop that, to prevent that. And he just trusted us. So I think that's very important, the trust on the team, the trust between us and our boss, our manager, and also the fact that our customers trusted us as well. I think this is very important because trust needs to work both ways. So those that were taking the first virtual classes, these were our very strong supporters. And that, I think, contributed to this whole process being successful in the end.
Hola, gràcies. Una exposició brillant, ràpida, s'agraeix moltíssim, i anant en la mateixa línia, l'enorme diferència entre el que la persona del Departament d'Ensenyament ens ha explicat de la lentitud de l'administració en contrast amb la velocitat que una empresa com la vostra ha reaccionat. La pregunta seria, en aquesta velocitat, com es genera la identitat d'aquests nous treballadors, d'aquests nous mètodes amb la identitat d'empresa o d'universitat, perquè no sigui un conglomerat d'experts i tinguin aquesta línia vostra?
Okay. First of all, thank you for your clear presentation. It was very, very interesting to see how you adapted to the new situation. And the question is, how did you solve the issue of giving the identity of the corporation to this new environment, to these new people, no? També per les persones, pels formadors, also for the trainers. How did you manage to provide the corporate culture to this new situation? I don't know if I made the right translation.
If I understood that correctly, you mean how we were able to convince the instructors as well that we need to create one culture to...
Yes.
Okay, so as I mentioned, the instructors that work for us are not really instructors by trade, so they are technical experts. And what we needed to do, what we thought that would be best solution here, is to just meet with them and tell them that we are at this situation and we need to adapt. And of course, it was very challenging because, as you can imagine, these were not people that could adapt that easily. To teach in class and then teach virtually. But I think they trusted us as experts that it needs to be done. We provided a lot of materials for them to make this change happen. And we also made sure that they were assisted throughout the process. So if something failed, if something did not work properly, we were able to react really fast. And also we were trying to convince them that there needs to be a baseline of how we teach. There needs to be a baseline of values and ways in which we deliver our content. So that would all be part of one recognizable brand, one recognizable identity for us.
Thank you. To finish, to estem fora de temps. Sí. They have to give you the formal present.